Hello, my friends. This is Jeannie. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I am going to share with you days 16 through 21 of my Oddtober 2024 daily. If you're not familiar with Oddtober, it is a prompt series hosted by April, who is Pink Odd Bird, and Priscilla, and I believe her channel is Release the Craftin'. You are provided with 31 days of prompts, and those prompts tell a story. You can do them all, you can do some, you do you, whatever makes you happy. Currently, I am on track to do all of them. So, if you've not seen days 1 through 15, check those out. I will try to remember to link the videos or the playlist down below. So we're going to pick up with day 16. The food helped with more than my hunger. I fell asleep and woke up to a huge bird calling from the window. It's carrying what looks like a map. Here is my interpretation of day 16. I used some Tim Holtz worn wallpaper to create a background, like a wall in a room. I also used his window frames, some of his acetate to create a window. Behind the window is the background, of course, because you're looking out the window. You're going to see that night sky. It's that one common thread throughout all of my pages. The background created with the black gesso and this metallic gilding polish. Oh, it's so good. I'm sad. It's almost done, but I'm glad at the same time because that means I'm using my product. So I did that, splashed some gold paint in the background to create that beautiful background. I also cut some tree branches. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see the tree branches behind the window? Kind of, sort of, maybe. See those? That was a die cut by Tim Holtz. I cut some branches to create, the feeling of night sky. When you look out the window, there's also no tree. That's where this bird is hanging out. This bird is a die cut. One of Tim Holtz's recent releases. I think it's called From the Vault or something like that. Something like that. And created this entire scene. Instead of a map from the bird's mouth, I just, again, used some Tim Holtz ephemera. This is vellum, a pack of vellum ephemera. I don't know how long I've had that, but it was travel theme. It's a map. Here's some ticket. So far, if you've been watching my stories, it kind of has a vibe of travelers getting lured into the woods and disappearing. So this is kind of going along with that same vibe. We have, people, travelers from everywhere that seem to be getting lost and disappearing in these woods. And so that's day 16. Hope that makes sense. Day 17, I put on the same page because, well, let me read the prompt and then you'll understand. So day 17, I take a closer look. It looks like there is a house located somewhere here in the woods. Maybe this person will be able to help me. Well, I already have a house. Okay, back here, I have a house. Day 11, instead of a tree house, I made a house. And that's the way I like. I even crossed out the word tree house. Tree. I kept the word house. So I didn't want to do another house, at least not yet. So instead, I focused on this person who maybe might help a little traveler here. And this is a Tim Holtz paper doll. She looks creepy, and I thought she was perfect. So simple, super easy, and sometimes that's all you need to move a story along or just to move a page along, and that's kept it simple here. I basically just attached the prompt below her, and she does all the work on her own. She is the star of that little prompt. So 16 and 17. Okay, day 18. Day 18 landed on a fun page in my book. So my book is a book made, or my journal is made from paper bags. And this one particular paper bag is one of my favorites. It's from Newberry Comics. It's a comic store in my neck of the woods. And I love their little mascot. This little guy here is super cute. So I didn't want to cover it in black gesso. What I did do was just take a Sharpie and intensified so that it was a deep, deep black. And then I went in with some gold and kind of modified the eyes a little bit and splattered some red watercolor paint across the page. I like the vibe. I wanted to keep him. I was going to make him work no matter what, because he's just too cute to cover up. I didn't cover him up. Coincidentally, it worked with prompt for day 18. Day 18 reads, I set out in the foggy morning. It was a gloomy morning. This forest is full of life. I'm seeing animals everywhere, but the animals look off. Okay, well, maybe they look off because you're a little off. Still under the spell of those magical little foods you ate earlier, right? So in my mind, I see a forest. I see things looking larger than life. I see things looking a little silly. Hence this little guy here, creepy, silly. Okay. I used some Tim Holtz ephemera, floral ephemera. I think this is part of his Halloween as well, probably because of the coloring of the tones of the color tones on these flowers. They have more of a grungy vibe. That's probably why they ended up in the Halloween ephemera pack, but I love them. So I used those. I used another Tim Holtz die to create this cemetery in the background here. Can you see it? Let me bring it a little bit closer. Can you see it? Okay. On the bottom of the page, I did create that same starry night sky in the background. Used some corrugated cardboard just to lend a little stability to this page, because this paper bag is kind of thin, and I just wanted to make it a little sturdier. So that's why I used the corrugated cardboard. It also adds a nice texture. Okay, and then this little guy here, in terms of the animals looking a little off, well, maybe they're not animals. Okay, maybe they're people who are animals or who have taken on animal-like characteristics from being lost in the woods. Because we all remember that one guy, right? Who's been missing, kind of disappeared in the woods. Our friend here, this one, remember him, right? That's what happens when you get lost in these woods. After a while, you're not quite human. You're a little less than human, a little more animalistic, perhaps, a little off. So I was so thrilled. I finally got to use this. One of those crazy, I don't know, what are the names of these things? Hipster ostrich. So Tim Holtz, of course. This is an ostrich with some very human-like features. I mean, clothing, eyeglasses, right? So I used him, stamped him on some watercolor paper, used my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. That's what I used. When I tell you I haven't used those in a minute, I wasn't sure if they were still going to be juicy or if they were going to be just done. So I was thrilled when I was able to use them. They're still juicy. All these years later, they look fantastic. I used some browns, some purples, and just gave this little guy some color and some life. And that's page 18. It's a little weird, but that's okay. You know, I'm a little weird, so it makes sense that my pages are a little weird. So we're moving on. Day 19. Day 19 reads, oh my gosh, and this was such a thin, there was a thin page. I think at the time when I put this page in, I was thinking, oh, it'll be a challenge. No kidding. It was a challenge, but made it work. So here's day 19. This is strange. I've got to get to this house. I spot a mushroom patch and decide to pick a couple in case I get hungry later. While I'm picking, I also spot a skeleton key in the dirt. Here is the background, and we all know how I created the background, black gesso. And this time, I don't think I added the polish on the background. What I did was I took a black Sharpie. After I did the black gesso, I took the black Sharpie, created a tree that goes from the bottom of the page to the top, and a tree branch, super thick. And then I took that polish, that blue polish, and I just rubbed it along the tree, just kind of like highlight the tree a little bit. I just wanted to mix it up a little bit, see how I felt about this style of tree. And then, what did I do after that? Oh, I added a little bit of silver. Can you see the silver? I took a little bit of some silver ink, and it's by Winsor and Newton. Yes, silver. Here it is. We're going to focus. Silver. I don't use the silver very often, so I decided, let me try. And I also took another die cut of the bird we saw earlier and applied some silver ink to him. So to me, the illusion, the vibe, is this big hulking tree that's being illuminated or kind of highlighted by the moon and the light of the moon. So wanted to try it. I thought it turned out well. I used some ephemera, Tim Holtz ephemera. This is from his botanical, I think, ephemera pack. And just created a little cluster down here, super easy. I took a little key and I attached it using a brad. And I put the prompt up there. So I think all in all, the page turned out really well. It's a bit of a challenge because it was so narrow. And I made the key small because proportionally it works with this page. And also coincidentally, I know y'all thought of it the minute you read that prompt. And if you've been following along with me, you remember. Because I was like, oh wow, day 8. Coincidentally, I added some keys to that prompt just because I wanted some movement and a different texture. And it worked out because somehow this thread kind of wove its way through to page 19. So I love how things just seem to work out sometimes. Didn't plan it, but there seems to be some common threads that are finding its way through this story, this little key being one of them. So I just put the key here on a smaller scale, and I put it on a brad so we have a little bit of movement. So that's day 19. I did not want to take on the challenge of doing a page 20 behind here, so I left it blank. I did fold a flap that was on the page back to create a little tuck spot. So maybe down the road I will create maybe a little narrow tag and stick it in here. But for now I'll leave it as is. Okay, so our little traveler here, she's picked her mushrooms. She's moving on. Prompt for day 20. I've been walking for ages. According to the map, just ahead is a trowbridge. This must be a typo. Well, I crossed out the word troll because I was not vibing with trolls, but I like the idea of a bridge. And I also saw this as an opportunity to kind of bring in that house again. The base of the page actually is from a book. I mentioned this book before. I don't know if I showed it to you, but here's the book. I picked this book up at a book sale at my local library, and is it called here Black Cat Bone? Is that the name of the book? I don't know, but the illustrations are amazing, and I've been using pages from this book, just tearing them out and using them as a foundation. I'm not an artist in the sense that I cannot draw figures and people, okay? So, or just anything concrete like houses and stuff like that. I'm more of an abstract kind of person, but I am certainly able and capable of altering pages. So I took a page from that book, and it was of a kind of blues artist walking along a train track holding the guitar. Here he is, there's the train track. I went in with distressed crayons, gesso, paint, a little sanding brush or disc. First thing I did was sand the image down until it's a little more ghostly and a little less clear. I like the scratchy, wiry look of it. And I also really wanted to alter this quite a bit. And then once I got it so that it looks more ghostly and less bluesy, I went in with the gesso and the polish to kind of blur out everything that was going on to the side of this track, so it'll bring your attention more to the center. I went in with my distress crayons to better highlight the tracks that he was walking on and make them look less like railroad tracks and more like wooden planks on a bridge. So day 20, right? Here's that bridge. That bridge is going to lead to day 21. Despite my doubts, I must let's try that again. Despite my doubts, I keep going. As I get closer to the bridge, to my surprise, I see 3 large lumbering beams. So here's where I combine 20 and 21. Okay, so in this case, the bridge led to that same house that she was at earlier. I don't think she realized she just walked in a complete circle, but and the lumbering figure that she saw is that ghostly image in the background, plus the ghostly image of a couple, a newlywed couple that maybe lived in this house, because there's definitely something going on with this house. Okay, and even if you don't want to believe that it's the same house that she was at earlier, maybe it's another house in the same forest. Maybe the forest is filled with houses that are haunted and have stories to tell, and this is another house that maybe she came across, right? So here's the couple. Behind them is a memoriam card in loving remembrance of. So definitely something happened to this couple. What? We don't know. It's a story for another day. Maybe it's a story that we will learn more about as the story progresses. I don't know. But whatever's going on in these woods, it's certainly creepy. We have a lot of ghostly figures. We have a lot of human-like figures. We have a lot of animals who kind of look odd. Maybe that's because they're not animals. Maybe they once were human. We don't know. Don't forget, we also have creepy twins. We have beings casting spells. We have birds guiding you. Keys. Keys to what? We don't know yet. So that is day 21. So that is my share, my friends. I think I'm doing a pretty good job keeping up. I think next week's post, will it be the last? Let's see, we have 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, probably have at least 2 more videos ahead of us. Plus, we have to do the bonus video, right? For Day of the Dead. I think I have enough pages. I hope I have enough pages. Otherwise, I'm going to have to figure out how to add some more pages to this. Maybe I can split this one up, but I think I'm good. What I'm most excited about, yeah, I should have plenty of pages. What I'm most excited about is that I get to finish this journal. I think this is the year I finished this journal. And rare is the day I actually complete a journal. So I'm super excited about that. And the best thing about completing this journal, is I get to make another one. That's my share, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. I surely do appreciate you. And I will catch you all in my next video, my friends. Until next time. Bye-bye.